Hello and welcome to the Fabulous Picture Show. Could I please introduce the filmmaker Aaron Coleran of The Band's Visit?
Hello, Amanda. Thank you.
This film came about from one image in your head just before you were going to go to sleep, didn't it?
Yeah. And an image of a man dressed in uniform sings an Arabic song, and this is where it all began.
I hope you enjoy the film, and we'll see you afterwards.
Thank you.
The Band's Visit follows an Egyptian police band that arrives in Israel to perform at an Arab cultural centre.
Good morning. This is Tawfiq Zakaria, commander of the Alexandria Ceremonial Orchestra.
What? But instead, they find themselves misdirected to a remote and dreary town.
No Arab Culture Center.
No. Not culture, not Israeli culture, not Arab, not culture at all.
Jahannam.
So begins a cultural exchange between Egyptians and Israelis. A world away from the fronts of religion and politics. And Egypt's cultural ban against Israel.
לא, בבקשה. נו, די, רדי ממני.
You don't go with girls a lot, huh?
No.
Inspired by the Egyptian melodramas he grew up watching on Israeli TV in the 1980s.
You like Arab movies, Tawfiq? Big love in big Arabic words. Ya habibi, ya umri, ya ruhi.
Aaron Coleran has managed to combine potentially volatile elements into a film that's flat out funny in any language.
Summertime and na.
When I said to him, I really enjoyed your comedy, he said, I hate it when people call it comedy.
Yeah. Sometimes people laugh. It's okay. I have no problem with people, laughing. But I do hope that people do notice there's sort of a grain of melancholy in every joke.
Yes. בית התקווה. You have eyes. Very beautiful eyes.
For me, is the truth of the character, the truth of the movement, the truth of everything. For me, it's not a comedy. Comedy is something that's set up to make people laugh.
So, we do coffee?
Yes.
No, please, we're fine.
For somebody who's a writer, it has a lot of silences in it.
It's funny because the movie got disqualified from the foreign language film competition for the Oscar for having too much proportion of English inside. And I was saying to them, the silences in the movie are in Arabic, but they didn't. But they didn't accept this. It's an essential part of cinema, silences, because you watch and you observe and you don't have to have text always hammered in your head.
Picture, please. May I take a picture?
ده هيصورنا.
Small triviality, I guess, but where did the outfits come from?
Oh, my imagination.
Were they Egyptian army?
No, I don't do
uniforms in
any. I don't do
respect,
any research. I don't care for reality. I'm sick with reality, and it doesn't matter. All those researchers, they just put you away from the truth as much as I say. No, they don't get you close to any truth. The basic truth is that any police orchestra always wear ridiculous uniforms. Always.
أرجوكم ما تنسوش إن إحنا هنا بنمثل مصر. وأنا بطلب منكم التصرف السليم وإنكم تكونوا مؤدبين. إحنا لازم نحافظ كلنا سوا على فرقة شرطة اسكندرية للموسيقى الكلاسيكية.
Was the film screened in Egypt yet or Alexandria?
There's a ban on cultural exchange, especially inside Egypt, because cultural exchange would be the obvious, sign of normalization between Israel and Egypt. But there are forces who oppose this normalization.
But you want it to be shown in Egypt?
I would like it to be shown on the very basic human level. In Egypt, in Kathmandu, I don't care wherever someone can go in. I would like it to be screened there.
The scene with Dina and the commander as she's getting ready to go out, you knew that scene was working for you while you were filming that?
Yeah.
How I look?
Very fine indeed.
Just one of those scenes which is very simple. It's one shot. They just look at the mirror and they're alive, you know, there's no pushing on anything. She looks, he looks, and then there's this awkward silence until she asks him about the hat.
Don't you want to take your hat off?
Excuse me?
Those 3 or 4 seconds of this awkward silence, I always wish that they could go on forever, because they're like, this is like a moment that, for me, you know, it's happening. It's like they don't speak anything and they are alive so vividly, you know, on the screen.
Salat Arabi. Trina.
I was saying to Aaron that I love the fact that Dina gets dressed up to the nines to go to a kebab shop.
There was sexual tension just for a brief moment between Dina and the commander. Was that intentional?
When was that? I thought there was all the time some kind of, I don't know if sexual is the word, there was yearning. It's like all the characters have the feeling that behind the wall there's this big love and big movies, like they live next to an Arab movie, but they don't live it, it's there. So it's more yearning for this other kind of may have been life.
It's incredibly painful to watch, but very, very wonderful. And of course there is a pricelessly funny moment in it with the 3 of them sitting together.
This was a really fun scene to do. The long 3 shot, which was made 13 takes, but you're watching the 3rd one.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you,
Can we please
Amanda.
thank the filmmaker here?
Thank you all. Thank you.
Aaron Kaliran.
Simon, you wrote a concerto.
Concerto?
Yes. Well, it's not really concerto. I didn't finish it.
From a gentle film about Israelis and Egyptians to a hard-nosed documentary about a brilliant lawyer and his roster of notorious clients.
Terror's Advocate is an episodic history of modern terrorism, as seen through the career of French lawyer Jacques Verger.
Il aurait sans doute pu ou dû être un terroriste, Vergès.
Appuyer sur un bouton pour faire sauter un truc, elle n'aurait pas de scrupules.
Je pense qu'il est devenu avocat par accident. C'était le seul endroit où il pouvait avoir une tribune.
It's the latest feature from the Iranian-born, France-based, Swiss-German director Barbet Schroeder. Schroeder is perhaps best known for directing Jeremy Irons to an Oscar in Reversal of Fortune. It's based on the real-life story of a famous lawyer defending the widely loathed Klaus von Bülow, accused of trying to murder his wealthy wife.
You do have one thing in your favor. Everybody hates you.
Which no doubt informed his approach to Verger.
I approached him as a fiction character, a fictional character that is completely complex, a character out of a novel or out of a movie, because he's so ambiguous.
Verger's career started in the 1950s when Algeria was fighting French colonial rule.
During the Battle of Algiers, I was 32 years. I feel immediately solidarity with the felon.
Through Jacques Vergès, I was able to do the history of the so-called blind terrorism that started in Algeria, where bombs were put in cafes, where bystanders were there. Since he was very close to those events, he lived them intensely. He did his most extraordinary work when he defended Jamila Bouhired, who was one of the young women who was putting those bombs in those cafes.
Et je lui fais comprendre que pour moi, fils d'une mère vietnamienne, d'un père réunionnais, je comprends parfaitement la lutte des Algériens et que je ne condamne pas leur violence.
Bouhirid was sentenced to death, but Verger saved her life. The pair ended up marrying.
Et ensuite, on m'a désigné pour défendre les fidayines arrêtés à Athènes, pour avoir attaqué un avion d'El Al.
He started with the Palestinian cause, considering that the Palestinians were like the Algerians dealing with the colonial situation.
From Verger's personal interest in Algerians and Palestinians, Schroeder then follows him as he begins to defend a long string of the infamous, from serial bomber Carlos the Jackal.
Vous semblez bien le connaître, non?
Non, pas du tout.
Vous n'avez pas correspondu avec lui, il ne vous a pas téléphoné?
Absolument pas.
To Nazi war criminal Klaus Barbie, for whom Verger put forward the novel legal argument of two wrongs do make a right.
There was another idea, is through this trial to expose colonialism. To say that you are judging this man for what he has done in Lyon, but you have made worse in Algiers.
Verger, who clearly fancies himself in any battle of wits, exhibits no fear of Schroeder's probing cameras.
He shall not trick me. If he give me the floor, people shall see me as I am.
I didn't trap him, but he likes to call me my dear enemy.
I told him, what you have had is bullshit. What is good is me.
A rare documentarian in an age of spoon-fed opinions, Schroeder truly does leave it to the viewer to decide whether Verger is a smarmy monster or just a lawyer doing his job.
Un jour, quelqu'un m'a dit, est-ce que vous défendriez Hitler? J'ai dit, mais je défendrai même Bush. Et on m'a dit, mais à quelles conditions? J'ai dit, à condition qu'il plaide coupable.
Well, that's it for this fabulous picture show. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Amanda.
Are you going to make a sequel?
Sure.
Is it going to be funny?
Yeah, hilarious. People will die on the floor.
You got me dying. Hope to see you next time.
I like clothes. Clothes nice.
Yes. Like Michael Jackson.
So how would you rate the film out of 10 and 1?
I think I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was really very funny in places.
It was really funny, but also quite moving, and it made me think a lot about people and their situations.
The concept alone, I think, kind of leaves you fascinated with it for most of the film.
You couldn't work out if either of them liked each other, but I think that they did, but it was never going to happen.